One of the greatest misconceptions about architecture is the belief that architecture is all about coming up with beautiful design. Yet in reality, architecture is more about bringing out functional designs that are also aesthetically appealing. Hi humans, Builder Listone here. Design it right, build it right. That is what we advocate for. And when talking of the functionality of the design, this basically means how will the experience of the end user of this product, which in this case is the house, be. And when an architect sits down to design a house, he puts himself or herself in the shoe of the person who is going to use the house. How do the living spaces work together? And by the living spaces, all the common areas, we mean the sitting room, the dining, and the kitchen. How does the laundry and the kitchen sit? And where do you have the private areas? Those are the bedrooms, probably the family room, and the washrooms. You have to ensure that when somebody comes into this space, they first get into the common areas, that is the living room. And then in the event somebody wants to move to the private areas, then they have a way to the private areas. You don't want to have a situation where, which I've seen in some cases, where the design is completely unfunctional. The house is beautiful, but the design is unfunctional. Where somebody is in the living space and is able to see somebody in the private area or the bedroom. Or you find that somebody moves into the house and the first point of encounter that the person have with this unit is probably the kitchen, or let's say the washroom. That is a design that in a way is not functional. So this is what the architect comes in to do, or the design team comes in to do. That means the success of your house or the success of your project begins at the planning stage. That is where, when you are doing the design, that is where the success begins. If you have an unfunctional design, then you mess up the whole product. If you have a good design also, and you don't do the build well, then you mess up everything. So you have to design it right and ensure you build it right. All those things will lead to the success of your project.